Christian. I'm so glad that I'm having you here today with me. For the people that are listening, Professor Christian is a very well-known marketing digitalist specialist in the industry, and he has his own company. He's CEO of ESD, and he is also an author of some very knowledgeable information that he has written in a book about marketing.
Thank you, Simon. Always a pleasure to see you again, and pleasure to share some idea with the audience.
I'm so glad that you're here with us because I want to know everything about you, Professor Christian. First of all, I want to know, who are you, where do you come from, where is your family, what's your life story, basically?
There we are. How many hours we have? I'm joking. I know that it's going to be only 1 hour, so we try to squeeze the information as much as possible. Now, Prof.Christian Farioli from the country of pizza, which is Italy, we say Egypt or China. And I've been launching and running digital marketing campaign for the last 18 years, so since 2003. And that's, I actually ended up in Dubai 15 years ago. So in January is going to be my 15 years in Dubai.
Wow.
And I love it always because this is the place and the country where you can do whatever you like. And then there are no tax, so that's always good. And I find out that there are a lot of companies that they need my services, so that's even better. As well, in my second life, I also teach digital marketing, and for the last 9 years, almost 10 now, I've been teaching for the Digital Marketing Institute, Informa Middle East, and also PricewaterhouseCoopers Academy. So I can say that I keep myself quite busy, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I saw that you were an expat before you came to Dubai.
True. I lived before in Ireland. Before that, no, sorry, I lived in Spain. Before Spain, I lived in Ireland. Before I lived in San Diego. And before that, I lived also a few months as well in Spain again. So I'm actually outside of Italy since 1999.
Okay. Wow, that's quite some time. That's more than 20 years now.
Yes, indeed.
And when you grew up in Italy, where did you grow up? In the north, in the south? How was that?
I'm actually from a little city near Milano, and the city is called Busto Arsizio. That's a very complicated name for everyone. Probably you pass by my hometown. If you land in Malpensa airport and you go to Milan, you pass by my hometown. But that's where I grew up with. I was studying actually in Milano, and that was nice, good old days where your parents pay for the bills, you just need to enjoy life, study a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then I realized that Italy is a beautiful country, but not so beautiful when I want to make business. And that's when I realized that I want to go abroad, and I start my journey of changing country every few years, until I land in Dubai, and I realized that this was a place that I want to stay for a very long time. And indeed, I'm still here.
When you arrived in Dubai, because you were already an expat, you lived and studied in Spain and in Ireland, in the US, did you realize that you would be here 15 years at least?
Actually, the funny thing is that I was here once in holiday with my parents. Actually, it was the Easter of the year 2000. And I still remember it because they recently launched the Burj Al Arab at the time. And this was a crazy, crazy country. I already noticed that this was an unbelievable city with potential. And then at the time, my mother asked me, so what do you think about Dubai, Christian, do you like it? And I said, look, Mom, this is a crazy place. I need to finish my university. I need to build myself a curriculum. I need to learn to speak proper English, and then I'm gonna be back to Dubai and I'm gonna make myself rich. This is what I told her in the Easter of the year 2000. And actually my mother said, what are you doing, crazy? Are you gonna come here in the desert working with Arabs? What? But my father, that at the time was looking forward, and he told me, look, Christian, if you stick with your program, you have my blessing, keep going.
Yeah.
And my mother, no way, you're gonna stay away from your mom.
Yeah.
No way. I'm also the only son, so you can imagine Italian mom, the only son, it's not gonna be easy. But my father would say, look, keep doing it, stick with your plan, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. So 7 years later, I come back to Dubai for good with a one-way ticket, without any job, because before I was working for Oracle, the big database company. I mean, it's a Fortune 500 company, and I decided to quit and take one-way flight to Dubai.
Yeah.
Again, my parents, they were thinking that I was crazy to leave like a corporate company like that, but I said I need to go to Dubai, and that's it. I took one-way flight. I land here and I look around and I think, oh my gosh, after only 7 years, so much has changed here.
Wow.
And the rest is history. Then obviously, I
We
love
will
this place
talk
every
about-
year more.
Yeah, we will talk about that, like your journey, how you build up your brand, your establishment, becoming an industry icon. So your mother, out of curiosity, asked you that question, not knowing what she started.
Exactly.
How does your mother look at this now? Because it's been some time since you moved, and since she asked that question.
She's clearly happy and she's proud of me, so every time she talks with her friends about what I'm doing, what I'm achieving, so obviously she's happy. But initially, whenever you change country, it's never easy.
Yeah.
The initial part, there is always a lot of uncertainty, and your parents are never going to be sure about what are you going to do. And but that's exactly the same thing when I did when I went to Ireland before.
Exactly.
I took a one-way flight to Ireland, and I say, look, in Italy I'm happy, but I need to find my own way.
Yeah.
And then in Ireland I started looking around, looking for a job, and after a couple of months I couldn't find any job yet. And when my parents, they were asking me, so how is it going, have you found any job? And I say, not yet.
Yeah.
I'm keep doing interview, but not yet. And then they told me, so what are you gonna do if you don't find a job? And then I say, I'm gonna find a job even as a waiter, I don't care. And my parents, as a waiter, no way, you are an IT engineer from the best university in Milano, you cannot be a waiter. I say, Mom, I wanna fulfill my career, and I need to learn proper English, etc., so I will do whatever it takes. No, you cannot, you can come home anytime. I say, don't worry, Mom, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then a few months later I found a job in Oracle, and again. It's just about going up, but basically I stick with my plan.
Yeah.
Even against my parents, even with the uncertainty of my friends that were telling me, are you crazy? You go to Ireland doing what?
How old were you at that time of your life?
When I went to Ireland, it was the year 2003, actually, 2002, 2003. So actually, I need to calculate, it's quite a long time back. So better not to say, otherwise we will see how old I am.
Okay, so it was 2003, 2004. Clearly you had a drive in yourself to explore, to conquer, or to gain new experiences.
Yeah.
Was that always there when you were younger, or was there something in your...
Great question. Actually, it was not. I started getting into that when I decided to go to study 6 months abroad. So I've done what's called the Erasmus project. Whenever you are studying in any university in Europe, you can go and study 6 months to 1 year abroad.
Yeah.
And then at the time there were only 2 options connected with my university. So there was either a city in the north of Sweden or Valencia in Spain. And then
Valencia, of course.
and then I chose Sweden, cold, I have no idea about Swedish. Spain, warm, I have no idea about Spanish, but I can pick up much easier.
Yeah.
And I choose for Spain. And after 6 months, I went back to my university, and they saw that I passed all of the exam, etc. And then they asked me, how was the experience in Spain? I say, amazing. I passed all of the exam, I learned a lot of stuff, I learned one new language, I learned a new culture, and then you know what? I want to come back to do the other 6 months. And then even the Erasmus project coordinator was a little bit shocked. I say, but you have already done your Erasmus, it was a 6 months project. I say, yeah, but I want to come back to do 6 months more. Finally, I convinced them, and I come back to do other 6 months. And then again, that time I realized that my life was never going to be going on in Italy like it used to be before. And I mean, when you start traveling, you discover that there are so many differences between cultures that because of the preconception, because of your parents, your education, you always thought that you were right and everyone else was wrong. I mean, you look at somebody in Germany, the typical preconception is that they all drink beer, which is true. Like in Italy, there's the preconception that everyone eats pasta and pizza, which is true. But it's nothing good or bad, it's just because we're different. We grow up in different cultures. And when you start growing and living together with completely different people, then is when you start realizing how beautiful is mankind. And then you realize that you don't want to go back in your own little village, because you feel that it's too small for you anymore. Now you need to be in a place so open with people for any kind of culture, any kind of idea, and that's when I realized that I will never come back.
And this is hard to explain to people, right? Because in your mind, the door has opened. You have seen this new world. But for the people back home, they did not have this experience.
Yeah.
They see the same person, they have the same relationship, but at that point, you cannot connect anymore.
No. It's like you've been seeing a black and white all of your life. Suddenly, you discover that there is color.
Yeah.
And it's going to be impossible to explain to your old friends, which are still see black and white, how it is this world that you see in color.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, even if you go on holiday and you spend 1 or 2 weeks in holiday, has nothing to do with living in a country for a while.
Yeah.
Because in holiday, you just see what's the hotel, the resort they are prepared for you. But you still see things as your own, as from your own country. But when you start living together with other people, other culture, etc., that's when you open up your mind in a crazy way. And you discover that there are exactly people like you. There are no difference.
Yeah, and then you meet other.
Of course, maybe they eat different
Yeah.
stuff, they drink
Yeah.
different stuff, they pray different God, but again, everyone is happy about everyone else.
Yeah.
As soon as you're good with everyone is good with you, and that's how you enrich yourself. So that's why I think that it's definitely has been such a great opportunity that my parents allow me to travel, to study abroad, etc. And then they were not complaining too much about having their only son living abroad and changing country every now and then. Especially since now I'm like 6 hours and a half from Italy.
Yeah.
So sometime my father unfortunately passed away 5 or 6 years ago.
Sorry.
My mother now sometimes they visit us, so he's happy to see that I got kids, so she can play with them, etc. That's. But again, I try to convince her to move her also here. But then she see that her life is there.
You cannot
with her
take
family, with her friends, with her things. Is
No,
it's not gonna be easy.
I have a Italian client and his mom comes here 3 or 4 times a year for 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And he said, every time I tried to convince my mother to come with me, she said, I have my village, I have my supermarket, I have my people, I will never leave them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can visit you as much as I want, but I will never leave my home place. Yeah.
Our parents' generation, they were more connected to the roots, to the place, to the location, to the traditions, which in my generation we got used to travel and we're not so attached anymore to the old traditions.
But still, there is a connection between the old generation and the new generation, because you can have a common ground, which is that you both meet here, you are an expat, your mom is living back home, but here you can have a little bit of both.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, right now with Emirates Airline connecting every country of the world, it's so easy to take a flight and go wherever you need. I remember when I was a kid, it was like a big deal to take a long flight. Like I remember many years ago when with my parents we went on holiday in New York, in Miami. It was a very big deal. Taking an international flight, going in a different continent was a very big deal.
Remember in the classroom you needed to talk about your holiday experience? They did do that with you as well?
Of course.
And then some kids went abroad, could tell it to the whole classroom.
And then always the preconception of, what's happening if you feel sick? What's going to happen? You are abroad. You don't have your family doctor. What's going to happen? And then you realize after a while that there are so many doctors, so many hospitals, no difference. I mean, you're not going to a country with a hospital at all.
Now you even Google a doctor.
Exactly, you don't need to be there anymore. But that's basically what's happened. It's interesting to see how life change and how life progress year after year.
So, when you became an expat, you started to discover new places in the world, and then you came to Dubai. And first you worked for a company. Right?
Yes, initially, I mean, I came here without any job. And actually the funny thing is that a very old friend of mine was also coming to Dubai, but from Italy. Actually, I was living in Spain. So I took one-way flight from Spain. And my friend came from Italy, and we arrived at the same time with the idea to spend 1 week together, because he came here for his company. And then he was spending 1 week in the hotel for the exhibition of his company. And I was staying with him. So to say, just for the first week, just to have a friendly face to start.
Yeah.
Then he was gonna leave, and I was gonna be alone. And on the way to the hotel, I was shocked to see how much Dubai changed in just 7 years. Because I was here in the year 2000 in holiday, 2 weeks, and then I moved for good in 2007. And I saw a completely different city. Even Shadeside Road was different, so many new buildings. At the same time, my friend asked to the taxi driver, hey, do you think that my friend is gonna find a job here? And the taxi driver look around and say, look how many buildings they are building. For sure they are gonna build some office and somebody's gonna give you a job. I said, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good start. And then, and actually after, when my friend left, I look around a little bit better. I start meeting people, a lot of lovely people. And then one of them told me, look, there is a real estate sales and marketing training organized by the Dubai Chamber of Commerce. And then maybe it's gonna be nice for you. I was thinking, we get a special price, and then you can even do it. So yeah, that's nice. So I can see that there are so many things under construction here. At least I'm gonna understand a little bit what's going on. And then I went straight away to the training. And I was surprised when I met people, and when they were asking me, so how long time have you been in Dubai? And I was saying, actually I'm here only 4 days. And they were like, oh, 4 days.
Wow.
I arrived yesterday. Oh, I'm here 1 week. Wow, 1 week, you are the oldest person. So it was common to see people that would just arrive. And I was thinking, that's a great place. And then in the sales and marketing, real estate sales and marketing training, I met the professor, the trainer that was teaching from Netherlands. I still remember him, John Pozung, very, very nice guy. And then he shared this idea about Dubai real estate growing, etc., etc. And then I realized perhaps real estate it can be a good sector to start. Yeah. Even though I'm an IT engineer, I was working in Oracle in sales, why not real estate? Yeah. In a city where everything is booming. And before the end of the training, I was having a chat with the professor, and he told me, I saw that you are smart. If you have 1 month and a half to wait, I'm going to be the sales director of a new real estate company. And I would like you to have in my team.
Wow.
So, that's amazing.
You got a job offer in 4 days.
Of course. And I said, of course I can wait a month and a half. Okay, I will take a little bit of break. I will just see the city around. Then I'm ready to start. At the same time, I got surprised how many job offers I got. I was meeting
in that 6 weeks time.
Yes, I was just going out, meeting random people, and they were told me, oh, I have a real estate company. Why don't you work for me? I was saying, really? And I was thinking, to join Oracle, it took me 4 months of interviews, and here you meet people on the cafeteria and they offer you a job. And I say, what's going on? But then I realized, let me wait a little bit longer, and then I decided to start with John, because he was the guy that I realized that he was very knowledgeable, and I started working with him. After 1 month, he told them we were working actually for a company in Deira that used to be owned by 2 Iranian business people, and after 1 month, John came to me and said, Christian, I have information only for you. I'm going to leave the company. And I was thinking, okay, I wait like a month and a half to come here, and then you're leaving. And then he told me, but you don't know that you're, I got a job offer from Al Habtoor, so obviously it's a massive company here in the Middle East, and he told me, I want you to be my head of international sales.
Wow.
Said, wow, from 0 to head of international sales for Al Habtoor in 1 month.
This John, he's like Santa Claus.
I'm still in contact with him. Now he's back in Netherlands. He's taking care about his mom that is a little bit old. I'm still in contact with him. Very, very lovely guy. And that's when I start then climbing the ladder of real estate. These were, we call it the good old days, where everyone was getting crazy. Everyone was selling, launching, commissions, money coming right and left, until the financial crisis hit. And then we saw a lot of people that they had to leave the country because they couldn't afford the lifestyle, they couldn't afford to pay the checks, etc., etc. But that was basically the way that I started in Dubai to make some money.
So when you joined Al Habtoor, do you remember which year that was?
2007, beginning of 2007. So it was booming, crazy real estate time, where I was averagely selling a couple of apartments per day.
Wow.
Of plan.
And how long did you stay there?
I was 2 years or something like this. I became then also the sales director. Then, unfortunately, for a tragic accident, Mr. Jamal Alatour, the owner of the company, in one of his trip, he passed away in a car accident. And then I started working for the Cousin, for Rashid Alatour. And then I was the international sales director. And I was there basically for another year or something like this. Until then, the financial crisis was so bad that basically the real estate was completely paralyzed, and I decided that it makes no sense for me to keep running in real estate where there was no demand whatsoever. Nobody was even considering buying anything.
So for the people that don't know what happened, can you just quickly explain how crazy it was and how suddenly it dried up the whole river of deals?
Right. Actually, the funny situation is that in UAE, we didn't have the knowledge about what was going on. When Lehman Brothers collapsed and all of those banks in US, etc., here there were no knowledge whatsoever. And I remember once that even when people start flying out of Dubai because they have credits, they have debts, they have loans, they have mortgages, and they cannot afford them. They lost their job, they cannot afford what they do. They left. But again, in the local news, there were not many news about it. So, and I remember one day I went out with a group of people that they organized. They were launching a new yacht charter company. So, just to rent yacht to business people that they need for events, etc., etc. And they invite me as because I was the sales director of Alatour. And then they told me, look, it's going to be an event. It was a weekday. I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday, something like this, normal weekday. So in the afternoon, and we were in a yacht in the middle of the sea with a lot of business people sipping champagne and eating lobster, filet.
Life was good.
With the chef cooking, etc. And then suddenly my mother called me on the phone from Italy, and I say, "Hello, Mama, how are you?" And my mother say, "Are you okay?" Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? I say, "Yeah, because I'm watching in the TV that all of the managers are leaving the city and are flying out and they abandon their car in the airport and they are running away." And I say, "Are you in trouble?" I say, "No." And my friend look at me and say, "What's up? Christian, has anything happened?" And I say, "Guys, my mother say that in Dubai there is crisis and people are running away." And everyone started laughing at me. "Come on!" And I honestly had a glass of champagne in one hand, speaking with my mom, and I said, "Mom, to me it looks like everything is okay. I don't feel anything." And actually, 10 days later, the snowball effect hit Dubai big time. Then is when everything got completely trashed. I was actually in the car with one of my clients that bought one full floor of apartments. He already paid, already done. And then he was in the car with me, and he got a call from his bank. And the bank asked him, "Please, we need to send 4 million euro to one of your supplier. Can we send him only 2 million instead of 4 for now?" And he got shocked. And I said, "My bank just asked me if they can send half of the amount for some reason that I don't know." And he told me, "What's going on, Christian, in Italy?" I said, "Don't ask me because I'm here. I don't know what's happening in Italy." And that's again, the snowball effect hit every country in a major way. But obviously Dubai was not so pleasant with people that they own money. Because the law is very strict. You have a post-dated check. If the check gets bounced, you go to jail until you don't pay the check. So it's very simple. You cannot lie or cheat, etc. And that's when people knew that, and to avoid the risking to end up in jail, what they did, many of them, they just went to the airport. Many of them, they had to rent a car. They left the keys on the windshield. Some of them put a note, "I'm sorry, but I cannot pay the debts," and they took one-way flight back home.
Wow.
This was like 2009, something like this, 2010. That was obviously a sad situation. But then again, the city recovered. Then again, so we went up, crazy for real estate, total crash, people running away, and then start slowly, when we hit the rock bottom, then start recovering slowly, and it's been recovering for quite some time. Until some time, they announced that Dubai won the competition to get the expo. From that moment, I still remember, it was September, boom, again, real estate prices and the economy start going up crazy, like 20% in a matter of a couple of months. Then the hype of Expo is coming start fading a little bit, because, okay, we know that Expo is coming, now what? Now life continue as normal, right?
We got a big sign saying 7 or 6 years from now.
Exactly. Then you think, okay, now amazing, the Expo is coming. But there are 6 years. So it's not going to be tomorrow. And then the interest starts fading a little bit, and again the price starts going down a little bit. And they start fading, and they will keep going down slowly, until the first quarter of this year, 2021, when we knew that Expo was coming, was getting close, so the big PR machine of Dubai started pumping information about Expo, and boom, started going up again. Now we are on Expo started.
Yeah.
Also there is Christmas, we saw that the tourism, it's reached the top, we know real estate again, it's again back in business. Now nobody knows what's going to happen after the Expo, obviously. Next year there's going to be as well the sustainability meeting with all of the countries, just to set the pace for the future of the humanity, actually, about sustainability. So there are a few still good plans that they tie to Dubai in the global map, and I believe that is still going to be a lot of stuff going on. So I don't expect that it's going to plunge again, but possibly after Expo there could be some correction that's expected.
And when you realized that the party finished in real estate when you were working in Al Tour, you needed to reinvent yourself. What did you do then?
Actually true. Even before, I mean, when I was in Oracle, so in 2003, I realized that the company technology advanced like Oracle, they are not doing much to help generating sales.
Okay.
The sales were done the old way, like from visit to clients, account managers, salesperson, telesales, telemarketing, old school, without using any technology. And I realized you have something so powerful like the internet. I mean, 2003, it was just burst more or less the internet bubble, but still internet was something big. And companies were not utilizing it to their advantage, aside of the fact that they were just building websites. And I realized a lot of things can be done. And I started researching online, and I started launching some campaign in Oracle, and I was getting clients, I was getting sales. And I mean, I was thinking, that's great.
Wow.
This is something worth exploring more.
Yeah.
And in Dubai, even in real estate, I was still doing it. When I asked all of the marketing department of the company I was working with, even Al Tour, can we do something about online marketing activity? And they were told me, online, internet, you are crazy, nobody buys properties online, total waste of time. And again, what I did, I took my own credit card, since I was a sales director, I had a very big salary, and again, I was launching and pumping campaign on my own, without telling anyone. So, and that's how I was getting sales for me and for my team. For me, it was something that, again, worth exploring it. Until one day, I remember that my wife received an email from somebody inviting us to an event that there was about digital marketing and social media. That was like 11 or 12 years ago. And then I realized, that's interesting. It's interesting that in Dubai, they're organizing something like this. And we went. And then I got surprised because all of the speakers were not from the Middle East, were from US, Canada, UK, Australia, etc. And then my mind exploded because I realized this is what the type of things that I've been doing for the previous 5 years or 7 years.
I saw the opportunity, I took it, and they're talking about it.
Exactly. And these things is called digital marketing because in my way it was called, I don't know, I was the crazy guy doing crazy things that get sales.
For you it was a way to get results.
Yeah. How to get more sales online. This is how I used to call it initially. And then I realized that there are more people doing the same things. And these things is called digital marketing. And that's why I jumped into it full force. I spoke also with the event organizer at the end of the training, at the end of the sessions. It was a full day. And then he told me, I see you are smart, let's keep in contact and let's have a chat sometime. And then in the next event, he asked me, look, we're going to also have a small gathering because you're doing some of these things. Can you also share your things with this small group? And I say, okay. And I thought it was just like a chat. And in fact, it was kind of a small conference. And I was a little bit shaky, a little bit surprised because I never spoke in public in my life.
Yeah.
And but then it looked out that they enjoy what I was saying, the idea that I had, etc. And the event organizer, he told me, look, I think that you are talented for these things. In the next time when I come to Dubai, prepare some little presentation because I like you to speak also in with a little bit bigger audience. And I was thinking, public speaking? Me? Are you crazy? I said, oh, you're talented, you have a funny Italian accent, people are going to enjoy. I said, okay, if it's meant to be, let's jump and let's try. And then in the next event, I go there. Luckily, first the event, it was in Bahrain. So I went to Bahrain, and the audience was maybe like 300-400 people. It was not small.
Wow.
Again, I was saying, I'm in Bahrain.
If I
screw up big time, they're never gonna remember me and never gonna show up again. It's fine.
Yeah.
And actually, they love me. They love what I have to say, my presentation. I put a lot of funny stuff in it. And then 2 days later, we've done the same in Dubai, in Daktak, the big amphitheater inside Mall of the Emirates.
Yeah.
But then there were more than 700 people in the audience. And I was like, wow, that's big stuff.
Yeah,
That's
double
gonna
the
be-
amount as what I did before, and
It was my second time, exactly,
Yeah.
or third time. And then at the end, when it was the time to vote the best speaker of the event, they voted me. And I was thinking, there is something wrong. I'm
You're
definitely not the best.
Where's the camera? Where's the joke?
I'm definitely not the best. But because I was having my own way to explain things,
Yeah, maybe you were engaging.
I also knew the audience. Because people coming from US, from UK, from Australia, they use American jokes, Australian jokes, English jokes, that here in the Middle East, sometimes they don't understand them too much.
Of course not.
They use the American slang, the California slang, which here people, I saw in the face, they were looking like, okay.
Yeah, being politely, like agreeing with all the jokes, but that's you found content and you found a way to communicate with the right audience.
And then at the same event, I met what at the time, she was the director of the Digital Marketing Institute, the highest authority, the biggest entity teaching digital marketing.
And she was there as well?
She was just watching the conference.
Okay.
And then after the conference, she approached me and said, Christian, you have talent for public speaking and teaching these things. And she was telling me that she's running the Digital Marketing Institute, and she asked me if I may be interested in working part-time as one of the professors for the Digital Marketing Institute. And I was thinking, that's a new thing that hit me. Like, I've never done anything like this. And suddenly I got asked if I can teach digital marketing. And I realized in my life, I never liked the standard way of teaching, the standard way of going to the university, listening to the professor.
Yes.
I find it not engaging, not interesting, etc. And I thought, if I can do my way, maybe. And then she told me, of course, we give you the slide, we provide you the presentation, you need to deliver it your own way. And I said, perfect. I said, let's try. We tried with one session, and then again, everyone loved it. And that's it. And this was 10 years ago. So that's why for the last 10 years, I've been teaching so many different people in the Middle East mostly, but sometimes I travel even in different countries. I've done so many conferences, more than 80 conferences as a speaker in 4 continents. Even I went to Africa, to US, Silicon Valley, to Thailand, Europe. Actually, just 2 weeks ago, I was in Spain to do a session again for a larger company there. And I was in Amman a few weeks ago, so I keep myself busy. Obviously, during COVID, it was only online. Now it's back in real life. But I realized that this also is fulfilling me.
Yeah.
Because with my digital agency, I handle clients. I generate clients online for them with my team, etc., etc. But then it's with the teaching that I feel myself much more fulfilled.
And as a speaker, what were your top 3 biggest moments for you personally?
Right. Actually, the number one ever was probably 2.5 years ago, where I was speaking at Houston at NASA. So this is crazy, because you think that's, when I got the call from the event organizer, I was thinking that it was a joke. But then the event organizer got recommended to me, I got recommended to that event organizer by another event organizer, And then I realized, no, that's true, that's real. So of course I accepted, and 1 or 2 months later I took the flight and I went to Houston, etc. For this big event, and that was no limits. Because when you realize that even a company like NASA, they're still looking to get something more knowledge about digital. So nobody knows everything in this world.
Yeah,
everyone learns from somebody else. I learn every day from somebody else, from other people, from other online, from other things. I research stuff on my own, I create stuff on my own, but it's a global community of learners and in the digital field, which is something huge and growing on a daily basis. So this was my big #1 moment. And of course, every conference for me it's interesting. When I got asked to talk about artificial intelligence, big data, in oil and gas, to ADNOC, because I'm also one of the professors of the PwC Academy. That again was another big moment. I think that's also a big responsibility. To teach AI and big data in oil and gas for ADNOC, the largest oil and gas company in UAE, and also not to a normal individuals, but to the top 30 leaders, the top 30 Arab Emirati leaders of ADNOC. That was a very big moment. Then I was happy that at the end they all loved the session, etc. So these are the type of things like to challenge myself to the level that I couldn't expect, and then go on.
Yeah. So speaking with NASA, speaking with being a speaker with ADNOC, and what was your third personal biggest moment?
I mean, probably not as a speaker, but also with my agency when we got some specific clients. Let's say, I mean, just at the beginning of COVID 2 years ago, we got also Coca-Cola as a client. We also got now the largest ICT company of Saudi Arabia. So when we get a company like this, then we realize that I've been doing a great job.
Yeah.
Exactly. I start my agency in the year 2010, actually 11 years ago. Before having my agency, initially I was doing a freelancing job, and I got larger client even as a freelancer, because it was at the very beginning of digital marketing.
We will get there. We will talk about your company more in details. I just want to first just jump a little bit back to NASA, because they have one of the smartest people in the world. What did they want you to add value to them?
This was about digital transformation, which is one of the topics that's it's a buzzword for the last few years. Everything is about digital transformation.
Yeah.
You go to GITEX exhibition in Dubai, and you see that even we're selling toilets.
Yeah.
They say that we do digital transformation for your organization. I mean, it's a buzzword that everyone is using it. But in reality, there are few methodology to follow exactly what the digital transformation means. It's not about I'm going to sell you this mobile phone and I call it digital transformation and I sell you more. There are methodology to do that. And then of course, every different methodology has its own plus and minus. So large organization, they need to know, they need to instruct their manager to be ready for it. Because every major organization is like the Titanic.
Yeah.
Very strong, very solid, very rigid, but we know what's happening. When you crash the iceberg, we know what's happening.
Everybody goes down. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it takes time to shift the bearing.
Yeah.
It's not that you see the iceberg, oh, we can change direction.
Yeah, you cannot do that last minute.
You cannot do it.
Yeah. Okay.
We saw a company like Nokia in
Yeah.
2 years. They went from having 60% of the global market to bankrupt in 2 years. Because they couldn't see their iceberg, which was Apple at the time.
Yeah.
So a company that was good in doing software and computer, they beat the company that invented GSM phones.
Yeah. Actually, NASA does need to step up that game, because they are outsourcing now to SpaceX and to Russia when it comes to space programs.
Yeah.
But I also saw a post where you were at Google.
Of course, I was also in Silicon Valley a few days there.
Yeah.
That was also another amazing things. And then again, because of the power of internet and social media, I went there because I had few engagement, few speaking gigs, and at the same time, when I landed there, I started shooting some live, some Facebook Live on the street. I was walking on the street, and shooting some heartfelt Facebook Live. And then I got a few of my ex-friends or connection or colleagues or somebody that connect me with others, and they told me, look, Christian, there is this guy that is there is this guy that is there, etc., let's have a chat. And I discovered actually one of my university friend that I was quite close with him, but then again, you change country, you change life, nobody knows what's happened later. And then he sent me a message saying, no way, are you here? And actually he was working in Google. Wow. So, and we met, we went out for a pizza. Actually I was so happy because he had his first baby. So we were celebrating also his baby that was born like few weeks before. And it was lovely just to see how much we are connected with people through technology, through digital. That really means something.
Absolutely. And when you started your company, we're going to talk more about that because it's an important part of your life now. You don't work anymore for companies. You're not employed anymore. You're self-employed.
Yeah.
When did you start your own company, and how was your process as a startup to grow to the level that companies now like Coca-Cola come to you, which normally go to very big marketing agencies?
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I'm sure that it was not as easy as it is now.
Yeah. Initially, the big things when you start your own company is that you come before as an employee of a big name behind your shoulder.
Yeah.
So you are safe because you have a big name behind. When you're on your own, the big name disappears, and then you become so little, so small, and you need to convince people that what you're doing is right, and they don't trust you at all. So starting with the same person that you used to know, then what I call it the chain of trust. You trust me before when I was working for a big company. Now that I don't have the big company anymore, you trust me because you trust me before. And then start getting some clients that then they were happy, they introduced me others, they introduced me other, introduced me other, and like that, basically, as a word of mouth, the ball started rolling. Then again, it was never easy initially. Also, it was the time where nobody knew digital marketing.
Which year was it that you started your company?
In my company in 2010. But actually, even before starting my company, as a freelancer, I was taking company anyway. This was the time where it was not really required to have a license. So initially, we were just doing some little job here and there. They were paying you money, and that's it. There was no problem at all. Then, of course, I realized that this is something big. It's something that is getting traction. So it makes sense that I open my own company, etc., etc. And that's what I did in 2010. But again, so many big clients, they were afraid to do digital marketing. They were not sure. No, social media is for kids. Facebook is for kids. It's never going to work. We are a serious group. We cannot do these things. And then again, the more I was hearing these words, the happier I was. Because it means that I had so much head start.
Of course.
Once everyone else realized how big these things is, I'm already 5 years ahead.
And you have personal experience because
I was doing
you were
always.
Oracle, you did your own thing when you were
real estate,
out
I was saying.
Yeah.
I realized how powerful this thing is, and there is no question that it's not going to work. It is going to work, of course. But there were no community about digital marketing, especially not in the Middle East. In Europe as well, was ages behind. So the only country that was somehow ahead was US, because the biggest company were in US.
Yeah.
But again, that was too far. There was no connection. But that's when suddenly, finally, the market started growing up in the Middle East. Then again, I was on top of the mountain because I was not doing only this for 7 or 10 years before, but I was also already teaching it for a few years. Yes. I was the one that at a certain stage, I remember that I got asked to do a training for a certification entity, and I was teaching university professors. I was teaching them digital marketing, and I was certifying them to be able to teach digital marketing. That was my third moment when I realized that, oh, I hit big.
Yeah.
When I'm the guy teaching university professor of universities in the Middle East, certifying them to be able to teach digital marketing, that's when I realized that I hit big.
Yeah, these are fantastic milestones, and I mean, you're like, when you're so passionate about what you're doing, you don't realize sometimes how fast you're going. until you are at the moment in your life, you're like, wow.
And you
is
don't
this
realize how
happening?
much you work, because sometimes I check the time and when I go to bed and I realize that I've been working 16 hours in a day. That's when I realize that, wow, I'm definitely passionate about it, because to spend so much time into something and not into your family. Now luckily I have my family always with me, but I mean when you spend so much time sometimes working, you miss out other things that are also important. But again, that's when I realized that again, that's my life. I cannot see myself doing anything else. Sometimes I start some other venture with other people. But again, my role is always going to be digital marketing, because I remember every entrepreneur go through the idea of, oh, you have a nice idea, let's do it. And at the same time, he has a nice idea, let's do it. Somebody else has a nice idea, let's do it. So you ended up doing a lot of different activity, a lot of different companies, but without focusing too much in any one of them.
Yeah.
And that's how most of them they fail. But in my case, I realized, what's the problem of that? That everyone doesn't have any focus on a specific topic. In my case, the topic is digital marketing. Whatever activity we're going to do, I'm going to be in charge of digital marketing. Don't ask me about operation, don't ask me about managing employee, hiring, or taking care about the product. That's not for me. I'm the guy that takes care about digital marketing with my own team and whatever is required, I'm going to hire, etc. And that's when I start also getting every now and then involved in some startup. And one of them that we pre-launched recently, and now we're going to launch next year soon, which is a neobank. Basically, it's like a normal bank, but it's 100% digital. So this is the type of activity that requires massive amount of brain power and effort and a very strong team. And then I believe that we're gonna do great, because it's one of those activities that's
it's new, it's exciting.
It's a crazy challenge, because I'm one of the mentor as well of Dubai Future Foundation and Future Academy, etc. And when I met the founder, Amir, he told me, I'm gonna launch a neobank. I said, okay, this kid has skills.
But it's going to be only digital.
Exactly. And that's why I like the idea, and a few months later he asked me, would you like to join the team? I met the other team members, they were all very, very qualified, very capable and very strong. And they're like, why not? So sooner or later you will hear about Jingle Pay, because it's a very big thing.
Looking
We
forward.
already got a massive wait list of users, and now we're just waiting the final approval from the financial authorities, just to be officially live.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about projects that you're working on, but before I go there, I also want to know a little bit more about your journey as a professor. You have talked about your journey as a speaker on stage, how it started from accidental,
Yes.
being asked to
Yes.
becoming popular, and being asked more and more and more, and then word of mouth, and then you went all over the world to fantastic places. And then there was the process of this great fulfillment of teaching to students, being a professor.
Yeah.
So you said somebody invited you during an event to become a professor first, and what happens during that course to where you are today?
Yeah, so I still remember the director of the Digital Marketing Institute, Mary Mulcahy, that she was the one that spotted me in the first place.
Yeah.
And then I realized that when I was teaching those people, I mean, they were not only kids, they were also grown-up men. Some of them already was working many years in marketing, but they want to learn digital marketing. Some of them, they were students of the Master in Marketing of the Halt University, and after that, they want to learn digital marketing. So there was a bunch of different people. They were also entry level, they want to learn digital marketing. And I realized what potential there is in this field, and how many people they need to know this, and how big is the gap. Because we think that a lot of students, they finish the university in marketing or master in marketing, but they don't get enough skills about digital. And I realized how big is the gap. Because every organization needs somebody that knows enough digital.
Yes, of course. And if you know how big the gap is, you know how your knowledge sharing, your educational tools need to play into that amount of knowledge gap.
And sometimes I still met students or people that they told me, Christian, but you are running your own agency for many years, and you're also teaching people the things that you know.
You're teaching your new competitors.
Exactly. But I say absolutely not, because even if I teach you, I know 100,
Yeah.
and you know only one. At the end of the training, you get a good maybe 30–40%. Good. So your knowledge from 1 becomes 40. Amazing. But my knowledge from 100 become 101.
Exactly.
Because I also learn from my students what are the problems, what are the challenges, how they're facing it. And that's also give me more.
Yeah.
So at the end of each training, I know more than how I started. And that's why it's
a two-way interaction.
Exactly.
Okay, so you started to give as a professor and as a teacher, you started to give more and more coaching, training. You were as a professor, you became also more regular into the curriculum to a point where I might suggest that you cannot go back now anymore.
Actually, so many times I got asked to speak at webinar or something like this, or to teach for entities, but I'm not interested anymore. Now I'm working only with the biggest guys, with the biggest companies, and that's how I keep myself to the top.
Yeah.
So I've done even some training for master students of the American University of the Emirates, and I mean, when you reach that level, I'm not so keen anymore to do the training for the little training company based somewhere, etc., etc. Unless there is maybe sometimes some big potential. For example, the training that I've done in Amman, that was in Jordan, was for a group that I never worked with before, but was covering absolutely the biggest clients of Jordan. For me, it was interesting, and I got people from Arab Bank, from Capital Bank, from large pharmaceutical company in Jordan. That was also something interesting that's enriched me to meet again one more culture.
Yeah.
Now I know that there are many Jordanians in Dubai. I don't need to go to Jordan to meet them, but again to see them in their own country, it was interesting.
You want to be triggered. You want that new experience.
Yeah.
Even in something static like
And maintaining the corridor of digital marketing,
Yeah.
but then always edging here and there.
Yeah. So do you see yourself teaching for many more years?
I don't know. I mean, I always keep my agenda mostly for my agency, because that's where I have the big clients and the big time and the big money. But at the same time, I mean, I like to give back with the training. Sometimes some of the training are not easy, are a little bit tough, because sometimes at least twice per year I have sessions of 5 days. 5 days in a row to do a training and not doing anything else. It's a little bit tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is something that I like to do, and I keep doing it.
Yeah, and it keeps you sharp, huh?
And I notice every few months, I notice that the average level of students, they are higher. I mean, many years ago they were total zero level. Now they know somehow something. Even they want to know a lot more, but they already have some idea. That's good just to see how the average level increase year after year.
Okay. And okay, so we talked about your startup, and then it became an established company where companies like Coca-Cola come to you now. We talked about your journey as a professor, as a teacher, and also as a speaker. Now you have also wrote a book.
Yes.
And you were very proud about
By the way,
finishing it.
I have it in my car. I will bring you later a signed copy.
Yeah. How was that to write a book? Because I'm sure with everything that you start, where to start?
Yeah. It was one of my tick box that one day I'm gonna write a book.
Yeah.
And then I realized that okay, I'll start. So let's do it. And I prepare like an agenda, a list of topics, etc., etc. And I start writing. Actually, it took me 3 years and a half.
Wow.
To write that book.
That is a long time.
And then when it was finished, the book was never perfect. because you always try to adjust it a
And
little
then
bit.
tweak here,
You
tweak
tweak it,
there.
maybe this, maybe that, and again, it was like having a baby that was never perfect. I didn't want to publish it, but then I realized, okay, now it's time to move on. And but I couldn't figure out the perfect title, the perfect cover, etc., etc. So, and I realized that one of my old friend, he was also helping authors to publish a book. His name is Mustafa Hamwi, and that's why I contact him back and I say, you come in a perfect moment because I have my own system, my own things, my own team, etc., etc. And then in a matter of few weeks, boom, everything was finished, ready. And then okay, and then we published the book. He also has a publishing label from Australia that is his own company that he's using to publish the books. He liked my idea, my concept, etc. And that's it. And then
You
finally
did it.
It was ready.
Yeah.
And then I started, of course, getting invited in many conferences to promote the book, to sign the book for the audience, etc.
How was
also
that?
was,
to
was
put your
interesting.
autograph in a book and say, here.
No, it was not so exciting. I mean, yes, it's
No, but
exciting, but it's a nice feeling. But compared to all of the other achievements that I've done,
Yeah.
that was relatively easy, honestly.
But did you not feel a little bit strange, like to put your autograph and then people want to collect the book with an autograph and and you say, hey, this is my book.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that a few years back I was at the conference and I met few big author and I got their book, so they signed the book, etc., etc. And I realized when I was at the opposite side, when the other guys that were coming to me to get the book signed, that is when I realized that again that was an interesting moment, an interesting achievement of my life, of my career.
Excellent. So what is next? What are you working on, if you can share? What is the next exciting thing for the coming period?
Now it's about two things, fintech and DeFi. Fintech, like with the neobank Jingle Pay that we are building, that's going to be a very big thing because you know that the world needs a much faster banking system than the traditional banks. And you cannot change a traditional bank into fintech just overnight. You need to build one from scratch. And the second thing, so with DeFi, I'm also involved in a very big project basically tokenization of carbon credit. That's a big thing because I think sometimes at my kids, one is 6 years old, one is 7 years old, how are we going to leave the world to them?
Yes.
What kind of world are we going to leave them? And that's what I realized, that I need to be involved more into something that's going to leave our kids in a better place tomorrow. And that's why I figured out that there was a team building this project, and I jump in and I'm helping them, of course, from the digital marketing point of view to make it successful, to launch a project that's going to make sure that the carbon credit can be easily associated and sold and bought from the larger organization, and even from every human being. Because in many countries of Europe, it's normal to say, look, if I have this lifestyle or I buy these things and I create so much carbon, I need to offset the carbon that I produce with some negative carbon. And how can we do it? Because this team secure massive amount of land, like 500,000 acres in Africa, exactly with the purpose of offsetting carbon in other country where the carbon is produced. So that's, I think that it's a great idea.
It's a fantastic project to work on.
And so keep posted because
yes.
I'm gonna show more hopefully in a few weeks when we're really in a good situation, but hopefully in a few weeks I'm gonna be able to give you more.
I want you to succeed. It was so great, Professor Christian Farioli, to come here and share your life story, your experience, and the new projects that you're working on. It was my pleasure hosting you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Simon. Pleasure to see you again, and even more to share with your audience a lot of stuff. Hoping that some of them are gonna be enlightened a little bit by this session.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
See you soon.